my name is Benjamin Piñabarro, and today I will teach you almost everything you need to know about phonetics. What are phonetics? Well, phonetics refers to the physical production of sounds with the parts of your mouth. In the next session, I will discuss cell biology. Okay, class, now we will see through this very handful X-ray the parts of our vocal tract. The vocal tract is everything in our body that allows us to speak. It goes from the lips to the vocal throat. You can know that different parts of our body allows us to make different sounds based on how we obstruct the air, like an instrument. You know, when you play a flute, you seal different holes to make different notes. Well, our vocal tract is the same. We have the lips that help us to make the or B sound. We have our teeth that allow us to make dental sounds like. We have the alveolar ridge, which is like the part behind the teeth that holds them together. It allows us to make D sound. And a postalveolar would be in between the alveolar ridge and the hard palar, and it allows us to make the J sound. J. And also we have the palate, the hard palate. And that allows us to say the sound, you know. And we also have the velar, which is the soft palate. Basically, the back of our tongue raises when we want to say the sound, the k sound. And finally, we have the deepest part of the mouth, the glottal, which is the space between vocal cords when it opens to let sound out. And it allows us to make the sound. And all of the voice sounds, and what do we mean with voice? Is those that require vibration from the glottal to, for example, make the vowels. A, E, I, O, U. And that will be all the parts of our vocal tract. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next section. You know, I've been talking a lot about phonemes and stuff, but what are they? Well, phonemes are every single distinct sound we can make with our mouths. From B to A to C, all of them. And when it comes to language, phonemes distinguish between meanings. In the case of cat and bat, those two different sounds, the K sound and the B sound, you could not confuse those words. But on the other hand, some people have different accents. How do we account for those? Well, we have allophones. Allophones are accepted variations when saying something, as long as it does not change the meaning of the word. This is more obvious in the difference between American English and British English. A very common example is Americans say beer, meanwhile the British say beer, because British people like to be wrong. And that would be the difference between phonemes and allophones. So let's go to the next section. Now that we have talked about phonemes, we will talk about their features. These are some of their features. And what do I mean by features? I mean like ways you obstruct the air to make specific sounds. As example would be voicing. It's when you're adding voice even if you're not using a vowel. For example, the sounds of you're just pushing the air through while also vibrating your glottal. The second would be rounding. is when you make sounds by rounding your lips, like mama, ooh. The third one would be nasality. These are the sounds that are produced when the air vibrates through your nasal cavity. For example, the of M or of N, and you can even notice if you cover your nose that you cannot say the sound. Your mouth inflates because you're covering your nose, and therefore the air cannot go through your nose. You can make the sounds. And finally, we have plosiveness. Plosiveness is when we tighten our lips, we build up air, and release it in a burst to make the P and B sounds. Putter. Okay. And that will be the features of phonemes. Let's go to the next section. In this section, we will see the phonetic composition of 3 words. What is the phonetic composition? Well, if you didn't know, we have the IPA. The IPA is the International Phonetic Alphabet, which gives a symbol to every sound we produce. And therefore, if you were to read a word in IPA, you know exactly how it's pronounced if you know the symbols. But also, in IPA, there's this little line on top of some syllables, and that thing is called the stress. It's the strongest sounding sound of the word. In this example, we will see that as well. We have the word banana. Banana! Banana! As you can see, the strongest syllable is the na. Now we have the word teacher. 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 The strongest sound is the T in teacher. And finally we have technology. 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 As you can see, the no in technology is the strongest syllable. So, with that, now you understand phonetic composition. Let's go to the next section. And finally, we will see the final work of speaking. In this case, we will see connected speech, or phonetic reduction, however you want to call it. Basically, when we speak, sometimes the sounds we make overlap with each other, and it can cause us to skip sounds or make new ones, etc. But now we'll see specific cases of this. The first one is vowel reduction. In this case, we say a vowel without really putting effort into it, and therefore it starts sounding more like the schwa sound, like which is also known as like the lazy vowel. Is a very common sound in English. So yeah, this can happen with many vowels. In this case, the b and the n of banana. The next one will be assimilation, when two consonants are like back to back, and therefore they join and make a new one. Like for example, when you say the Z and the J sound, it forms a like instead of saying don't you know, if you say fast, you say don't you know. And another thing is elision. We have two consonants back to back, usually D and D. The first one gets deleted and is overtaken by the second one. In this case, would be instead of saying next door, you say next door. as if the T wasn't there. Now let's go to the outro. Now you have learned almost everything you need to know about phonetics. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video around. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. See you next time.